You work for me, Caprio. I can have you removed by tomorrow morning. Those words hung in my courtroom like poison in the air. In 37 years on the bench, I've heard a lot of things: excuses, lies, anger. But this was different. I'm Judge Frank Caprio. This is Providence Municipal Court. And what you're about to hear actually happened in my courtroom last month. Well, not actually happened. This is a story, a made-up story. But it feels real because I've seen this kind of arrogance before. The man who just threatened me is 52 years old. His name is Senator Richard Thornwell. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than most people make in a month. His hair is perfect. His shoes are shined. His smile is the kind that never reaches his eyes. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. Let me take you back to how this all started. It was a Tuesday morning, cold, the kind of cold that makes your bones ache. My bailiff, Officer Martinez, called the case. Case 2026 TR 884726, the state versus Ms. Carmen Ruiz, illegal parking in a handicapped zone. I looked up from my desk. A young woman walked forward. She was maybe 24 years old. She wore scrubs, the kind nurses wear. They were wrinkled like she'd just finished a long shift. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. "Good morning, Ms. Ruiz," I said. "Please state your name for the record." "Carmen Ruiz, Your Honor." Her voice was soft, scared. "Ms. Ruiz, you're here today because you parked in a handicapped spot at Providence General Hospital on January 15th. The fine is $300. But before we talk about that, I want to hear your story. What happened that day?" She took a deep breath. "Your Honor, I'm a nurse. I work in the emergency room. That day, my daughter Mia, she's 6. She had an asthma attack at school, a bad one. They called me, said I needed to come right away." I leaned forward. "Go on." "I drove to her school as fast as I could. When I got there, she couldn't breathe. Her lips were turning blue. I called 911, but I was so scared she wouldn't make it. So I put her in my car and drove to the hospital myself. When I got there, every regular spot was full. I saw the handicapped spot right by the emergency entrance. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't carry her all the way from the far lot. She was dying, Your Honor." Tears ran down her face. "I saved my daughter's life, but now I owe $300 I don't have. I'm a single mom. I work 2 jobs. $300 means I can't pay my electric bill this month." The courtroom was silent. I could feel it, that heavy silence when everyone knows something isn't right. "Is your daughter okay now?" I asked. "Yes, Your Honor. Thank you for asking. She's okay." I was about to speak when the courtroom doors burst open. Senator Richard Thornwell walked in like he owned the place, and in his mind, maybe he thought he did. He wore a navy suit, expensive. His tie was silk, red with little gold emblems on it. His watch caught the light, a Rolex, the kind that costs $50,000, maybe more. His briefcase was leather, real leather, the kind that smells like money. "Your Honor," he said. He didn't ask permission to speak, he just spoke. "I'm Senator Richard Thornwell. I'm here about this case." I raised my eyebrows. "Senator, this isn't your case. Ms. Ruiz is the defendant." "I know exactly who the defendant is." He smiled, that cold smile. "She parked in my handicapped spot." The courtroom shifted. I heard whispers. "Your spot?" I asked. "Yes. I have a permanent handicapped placard. I was arriving for a meeting with the hospital board. I'm a major donor, you see. I give $100,000 a year to that hospital. When I arrived, this woman," he pointed at Carmen without looking at her, "was parked in my spot. I had to park 3 rows away. Do you know how unprofessional that made me look? Walking across a parking lot like some common person?" I felt my jaw tighten. "Senator, handicapped spots aren't assigned. They're for anyone with a valid placard or plates." "I don't care about technicalities, Judge." He said my title like it was a joke. "I want the maximum fine, and I want her license suspended. People need to learn respect." Carmen's face went pale. "Your Honor, Be quiet." Thornwell snapped at her. Adults are talking. Senator, I said. My voice was calm, very calm. In my courtroom, you don't tell anyone to be quiet except me. Is that clear? Is that? He laughed, actually laughed. Judge Caprio, I think you're forgetting something. I'm a state senator. I sit on the Judiciary Committee, the committee that oversees court funding, the committee that can make your life very difficult. The gallery gasped. You could hear it, that sharp intake of breath from 30 people all at once. Is that a threat, Senator? I asked. It's a fact. He opened his briefcase. Now I have evidence, security camera footage, text messages. I want this handled properly. I took a breath, a long breath. Show me your evidence. He pulled out a tablet, tapped it a few times, turned it toward me. This is the security footage from the hospital parking lot. As you can see, at 11:47 a.m., Ms. Ruiz pulled into the handicapped spot. She was there for 12 minutes, plenty of time for her to find another spot. I watched the video. I saw Carmen's car pull up. I saw her jump out. I saw her pull her daughter from the back seat. The little girl was limp. Carmen was running, sprinting toward the emergency entrance with her child in her arms. Senator, I said slowly, that footage shows a mother saving her child's life. It shows illegal parking, he said. Next evidence. These are text messages between me and the hospital administrator. He swiped his screen, showed me screenshots. The messages made my blood run cold. Thornwell. There's a nurse named Carmen Ruiz. She disrespected me today. I want her fired. Administrator. Senator, I'll look into it. Thornwell. Don't look into it, do it, or you can find another donor. Administrator. Understood. I looked up at him. You tried to get her fired? I did more than try. He smiled. I succeeded. Ms. Ruiz was terminated from Providence General 2 days ago. She no longer works there. Carmen made a sound, a small broken sound, like something inside her had shattered. You got me fired? She whispered. Actions have consequences, Thornwell said. You should have thought about that before you took my spot. The courtroom was buzzing now, angry whispers, people shifting in their seats. Senator, I said, do you have any other evidence? One more thing. He was enjoying this. I could see it in his eyes. These are witness statements from 3 hospital staff members. They saw Ms. Ruiz park illegally. They'll testify that there were other spots available. Far spots, yes, but available. He handed me papers. Official-looking papers with signatures. I read them. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from anger. These statements say the witnesses saw Ms. Ruiz park and walk calmly into the hospital, I said. Exactly, Thornwell nodded. But your own security video shows her running, I continued, shows her carrying a child who appears to be in medical distress. His smile faltered, just for a second. The video must be unclear, he said. The video is very clear, Senator. He stepped closer to my bench. Too close. Judge Caprio, I'm going to be very direct with you. I want the maximum penalty. I want her license suspended for 6 months. I want this on her permanent record. And if you don't give me what I want, I will make a phone call. One phone call, and tomorrow morning you'll be looking for a new job. 10 seconds of silence. That's how long it took for his words to sink in. 10 seconds where nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then the gallery exploded. People were shouting, standing up. Officer Martinez had to call for order 3 times. I sat there, very still, looking at this man who thought he could buy justice, who thought power meant he could destroy a woman's life over a parking spot. My face changed. I felt it change. I saw Thornwell see it change. Senator Thornwell, I said. My voice was quiet, deadly quiet. Did you just threaten to have me removed from the bench? His confidence wavered. I'm simply stating facts about political reality. No, I stood up. You threatened a sitting judge in open court, in front of witnesses. That's not politics, Senator. That's a crime. You're overreacting, he said. But his voice was shaking now. Sit down, Senator. Excuse me? I said sit down. You're not leaving this courtroom until we're finished. He sat, slowly. I looked at him, really looked at him. This man in his expensive suit. This man who thought money and power put him above everyone else. Senator Thornwell, I began, I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're going to answer them honestly. Do you understand? Your Honor, I don't think. Do you understand? Yes, he muttered. Good. Senator Thornwell, how much money do you make in a year? He blinked. That's not relevant. Answer the question. 200,000 from my Senate salary, plus investments. Total, about 600,000. $600,000, I repeated. And Ms. Ruiz, how much do you make? How much did you make before Senator Thornwell got you fired? Carmen's voice was small. 42,000 a year, Your Honor, before taxes. Senator Thornwell, I continued, you make more in 1 month than Ms. Ruiz makes in a year. Is that correct? I suppose so. And you have a handicapped placard. What's your disability, Senator? His face turned red. I have a bad knee. A bad knee. Can you walk? With difficulty sometimes. But you can walk. Yes. And Ms. Ruiz's daughter, 6-year-old Mia. She was having an asthma attack. Her lips were turning blue. Blue means no oxygen, Senator. Blue means dying. Did you know that? He said nothing. Senator Thornwell, did you know that when a child's lips turn blue, they have maybe 3 to 5 minutes before brain damage starts? I'm not a doctor, he said. No, you're not. You're a senator, a lawmaker, someone who's supposed to protect people. Instead, you destroyed a woman's career over a parking spot she used while saving her daughter's life. Do you see the problem here, Senator Thornwell? Your Honor, with all due respect. Respect. I leaned forward. That's an interesting word coming from you. You told Carmen to be quiet because adults are talking. She's 24 years old. She's an adult, a working mother, a nurse who saves lives every day. And you treated her like she was nothing, like she was garbage. Why, Senator Thornwell? I was angry, he said, about a parking spot. It's the principle. The principle, I repeated. Senator, let me tell you about principles, real principles. Principles mean treating everyone with dignity, rich or poor, powerful or powerless. Principles mean understanding that sometimes desperate situations require desperate actions. Principles mean that when a mother is trying to save her dying child, you don't destroy her life out of spite. The courtroom was absolutely silent now. Everyone was watching. Senator Thornwell, you came into my court today. You threatened me. You threatened my position. You said, and I quote, "You work for me, Caprio. I can have you removed by tomorrow morning." Do you remember saying that? Yes, but do you know what that is, Senator? That's contempt of court. That's witness intimidation. That's abuse of power. And in my courtroom, nobody is above the law. Not you, not me, nobody. His face was white now. Your Honor, I apologize. I was out of line. You were more than out of line, Senator Thornwell. You were cruel. You were corrupt. You used your power as a weapon, and that ends today. I picked up my gavel. Here's what's going to happen, Senator Thornwell. First, you're going to pay Ms. Ruiz's parking fine. All $300. Consider it your donation to her family. What? You can't? I'm not finished. Second, you're going to pay Ms. Ruiz $50,000 in damages. That's for getting her fired, for threatening her livelihood, for putting her family at risk. $50,000. Do you understand? His mouth opened, closed. That's outrageous. Third, your handicapped placard is hereby revoked. You admitted you can walk. The placard is for people with real disabilities, not for people who want convenient parking. You can't take my placard. I just did. Fourth, you're going to complete 200 hours of community service, and not just any community service, Senator Thornwell. You're going to volunteer at Providence General Hospital, in the emergency room, where Ms. Ruiz used to work. 200 hours. That's 5 hours a week for 40 weeks. Every Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 11 a.m., you're going to mop floors, clean bedpans, do whatever the nurses tell you to do. You're going to see what real work looks like. The gallery started clapping. Officer Martinez had to quiet them down. Fifth, I continued, You're going to write a personal apology to Ms. Ruiz, handwritten, at least 500 words. You're going to explain what you did wrong and why it was wrong. You're going to read it out loud at the next Providence City Council meeting, in public, on camera. Your Honor, please. Sixth, you're going to use your position as senator to ensure Ms. Ruiz gets her job back at Providence General Hospital, with back pay and a formal apology from the hospital administrator. You have 1 week to make that happen. If you fail, the damages increase to $100,000. Thornwell was shaking, actually shaking. Finally, I said, let's address your threat against me, your statement that you could have me removed. Senator Thornwell, you're hereby found in contempt of court. The penalty is 72 hours in county jail. Officer Martinez? My bailiff stepped forward. Wait, Thornwell stood up. You can't jail me. I'm a senator. Senator, that title doesn't make you immune to the law. Officer Martinez, please take Senator Thornwell into custody. Martinez pulled out handcuffs. The sound of metal clicking echoed in the quiet courtroom. Your Honor, I'll appeal this, Thornwell shouted as the cuffs went on. I'll have your job. You'll have 72 hours to think about your behavior, I said. After that, you'll return here for a compliance hearing. That's January 31st at 9 a.m. Don't be late. Court is adjourned. I hit the gavel. One sharp crack. Officer Martinez led Thornwell out. The senator was yelling about lawyers and appeals and corruption, but his voice faded as the doors closed behind him. The courtroom erupted in applause. I held up my hand. Please, this isn't a show. This is justice. Carmen was crying, but this time they were different tears. Ms. Ruiz, I said, your parking citation is dismissed. Your fine is paid by Senator Thornwell. You'll receive $50,000 in compensation within 30 days, and you'll have your job back within 1 week. Is there anything else you need? She shook her head, couldn't speak. Go home to your daughter, I said gently. Give her a hug from me. She nodded, whispered, Thank you, Your Honor, and left. 4 weeks later, 4 weeks. Senator Thornwell came back for his compliance hearing. He looked different. His suit wasn't as perfect. His hair wasn't as neat. His eyes weren't as cold. Senator, I said, have you completed your requirements? Yes, Your Honor. His voice was quiet, respectful. Ms. Ruiz has her job back, with back pay and an apology. I've completed 16 hours of community service so far. I'm on schedule for the rest, and I read my apology at the city council meeting last week. Did you mean it? I asked. He paused. At first, no, I was angry, humiliated, but after a few Saturdays in the hospital, cleaning rooms and helping patients, I saw something. I saw nurses like Ms. Ruiz, running from room to room, saving lives, working 12-hour shifts, going home exhausted, and I realized I've never worked that hard in my life. I've never done anything that mattered that much. I nodded slowly. That's called perspective, Senator. I know. I'm sorry it took jail and a court order to get it. Better late than never. Continue your community service. Continue learning. And Senator? Yes, Your Honor? If I ever hear about you abusing your power again, these penalties will look like a gift. Understand? I understand, Your Honor. Good. You're dismissed. He left, quietly this time. Later that evening, I sat in my empty courtroom. The lights were low. The building was quiet. I thought about power, how it can lift people up or crush them down, how it can protect or destroy. I thought about Carmen Ruiz, a young mother working 2 jobs, trying to survive, 1 parking spot away from losing everything. I thought about Senator Thornwell, a man who had everything and still wanted more, who mistook fear for respect. And I thought about justice, real justice, the kind that doesn't care about bank accounts or titles or threats. Justice is simple. You treat people fairly. You protect the weak. You hold the powerful accountable. You do what's right even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because at the end of the day, we're all equal in a courtroom, rich or poor, powerful or powerless. We're all human beings who deserve dignity and respect. That's what I believe. That's what I'll always fight for. And no senator, no politician, no one will ever change that. Not in my courtroom, not ever.